What do I do when I'm getting ghosted after sales calls? How do I know that my content is resonating? And how do I price my introductory offer when I have like a full offering afterwards? These are just some of the questions that I got in my Repeatable Revenue community of professionals and experts who are selling our services online with consulting or fractional or coaching services. And this is how I answer them. Hey, what's up? I'm Ray Green, former CEO turned nomad entrepreneur and consultant. And I've got a community of other professionals and experts who are leveraging their experience and knowledge to build online and sell services like consulting and being a fractional executive and coaching. I frequently run an office hours call where I just fire up Zoom and I take questions from the community. And some of these questions are ones that I've heard come up time and again and again. So I'm recording this video for you in case that they are helpful in helping you land more clients and sell more. Let's dive in.
What's the best approach for prospects who ghost you?
The best way to try to handle it is proactively to avoid the ghosts like in your process. So there's like a few things that we do like from a sales process standpoint that help minimize it, doesn't eliminate it. Locking in the next step on the calendar before you get off the call. Like we call it BAM fam, like book a meeting from a meeting. If we're on a sales call and you say, you know what, I need to think about it, I need to talk to somebody, I'm always going to say, awesome, like happy to do that. And then what's the appropriate time to follow up? How about next Tuesday, 2:00? And I get a calendar invite, I lock it in. Doesn't eliminate it entirely, but you do get some commitment and you can check the temperature a little bit on whether they're willing to commit to the next step. An initial follow-up email that you have ready to go that asks for a specific next step. I would just create a follow-up sequence, 7 to 9 emails over the course of 60 days, and have that go out a couple days after that, and then kind of tail off to the end. And then at that point, I just put them back into the drip sequence and put them back into marketing. A lot of people will say, like on the 7th or 9th email, you want to have like a breakup email or something like that. I've never really been like a big fan of those types of emails. There's something called like the 9-word email. I didn't create it. It's been around for several years. And it's basically, it is short and sweet, it is 9 words. And it's something like subject line is your name, like in caps or something that stands out. And then the email is, hey Peps, were you still interested in learning how to get more clients? ? But that works really, really well. So instead of like a breakup email, that can be like your last and go-to.
What's the best way to price an introductory offer?
If your core audience isn't terribly price sensitive, then adding in a $250 front end on the introductory, it probably isn't going to hurt you too much. If I were thinking about how I wanted to price this, one of the main questions would be, how effective do I think I could be at nurturing people into becoming qualified? In other words, do I want a big list that I can continue to market to? In which case I'm going to go lower on the price, even to free, because at that point I may get a lot of unqualified people, but I will build a larger audience and I'll use my newsletter and my podcast and my YouTube, like those things to nurture people through. So if I want to maximize sales and I just want primarily qualified people coming through here, then you're going to have to find the optimal price. Like I couldn't necessarily tell you what the optimal price is. The questions are going to come from the people when you put it to market. If you talk to 10 people that would otherwise be qualified and they still won't bite on the $250, there's something in the positioning or something else, because they're not price sensitive, right? Like, so there's something that's wrong, and that's what I would look at. My thought process behind the course and making it free was, and we went back and forth, like internally, most of the people on the team and advisors that I talked to said, hey, you got to add a price to it. Like make it $50, make it something, like you've got to add a price to it. But I look at it and say, over time, I'm going to build up a larger audience on my email list from people that are maybe earlier stage who might not otherwise pay for that right now. Plus, I kind of want people to look at it and say, well, shit, like if he gives this away for free, and, and several of our testimonials say like, dude, I don't know why you're not charging me for this, or I bought courses that didn't have this in it. And that's really the reaction that I wanted. And so that was kind of my thought process behind the as low as you can go on the price. But you could do it either way. I would get market feedback more than anything else.
How do I gauge my content resonance?
The best way to find out if messages are resonating, like sometimes it can come through in in your actual metrics, right? Like, so, but you don't always, one, it's not incredibly consistent, and two, it's hard to discern what the message is. So today we had a post do really, really well, right? Again, it was about gurus with kids and gurus without kids, right? By our numbers, it's probably 4 or 5x the reach. Now I look at that and I go, what can I discern from that? Should I write more content around that thing? Or is it content that is really good because it's popular? We had a guy in one of our programs got, swear to God, truth, 71,000 likes on a post. And it was like a Simon Sinek meme, right? Like, it didn't really say anything. It was a platitude. And I said, how many email subscribers did we get? How many booked calls did we get? Out of 71,000 likes, he got 30 email subscribers, right? And so you went, okay, so that's worthless now. I think the best way to find out what part of your message is resonating or isn't resonating is actually on sales calls. I think the feedback that you get from people that ask questions, I think the number of people that take an action, if you have certain types of messaging that's leading to, hey, I got a booked call out of this one, or you're getting some feedback in your DMs and people are saying, hey, that was great today. But I think it's really hard to replace conversation and like earlier stage when you're just trying to figure that piece out and what part of the message resonates and what doesn't. I would try to have as many conversations as possible aside from the content. And then from a content standpoint, I would experiment like a madman. Like I would just go, not throw shit on a wall, but like do it intentionally, right? Like try to cast a wide net and say, all right, which pieces are working? But more than anything, just have as many conversations with your ICP as humanly possible. Record as many of those calls as possible. Plug them into AI, do some analysis, and then back into that, using that for your content and seeing if you can validate it. And then like the feedback loop and go back and do that.
What are your time allocation strategies for content creation?
If you're creating content, especially on LinkedIn, like I can't speak for all the platforms. I know LinkedIn very well. There is an absolute direct correlation to the reach of your content and the amount of time that you spend engaging. Like it sucks. I can't stand it. It's a sweat equity thing. It's like the last thing that I want to give is my time and sitting on the platform. I talked to a friend of mine and he spends something like 3 hours, has a list of 190 names. I mean, but he gets massive reach with his content. And I've said, dude, I've got a business to run. I can't sit on LinkedIn for a half of a day, but I have ticked up my time on it. I've said, okay, instead of like 15 minutes, I'll do 45, right? Like, and that's also not bad because you're also engaging with the community and hearing some other feedback, stuff like that. So maybe carve out 30 minutes to an hour and do some engagement once or twice a day. I think from a prospecting standpoint, like it's hard to beat Tripify because you automate the initial connection request and the outreach. And I just think it's like from a leverage standpoint, even if you don't automate any part of the conversation except like the first question and the first statement, it's something that can be running while you're doing something else. So I think that's a really, I would take the time to set up like a good, even somewhat passive Tripify account. Like, so for example, we're not even doing like active lead generation right now. And but on my wife's account, we have a Dripify set up, and it's just basically like, hey, thanks for connecting. If client acquisition's on your radar, we've got a free course. If not, no sweat. Look forward to engaging on the platform, right? And we get almost no hate mail, and we send out a link to the course, probably 7 to 10 a day. That we're getting out that might turn into conversations. So I would get Dripify going. I would try to like do a dual prong approach. I would say, and Dripify now has an email option, so you can add in email. But one way to leverage LinkedIn for an audience that isn't active on LinkedIn is hit them on LinkedIn and then take it to email. Use that to build your list. It makes it fairly easy. And then you can use whatever you're using or something like Dripify where you can take that to email. But email is going to be a better lead generation source for you than even if you sat on the platform for 4 hours engaging every day and getting all your content out there. Your ICP, I would want to be hunting. All right, that's a wrap. I hope this was helpful. If it has been, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more business tips. And if you want to join a community of founders who are leveraging their knowledge and their experience to create 6- and 7-figure incomes online through services like consulting, being a fractional executive, or coaching, feel free to join my community at www.rayjgreen.com. Adios.